are events from Reddit. Events so scary you wish they were only in your nightmares. Viewer discretion is advised.
For the creepiest Reddit story, here it is. And it's true. I lived in Milwaukee my whole life. Born and raised, I still live here. Born in 1960, I am a bit older now, but I remember growing up I loved being outdoors and talking to people. I knew I was gay at an early age. Like in the 80s, it was really clear that I was only attracted to men. Women were always easier to be friends with, but I didn't have any desire to be with any women. Being gay in the 80s and 90s was a lot harder than it is today. Today I don't feel judged for being gay. Back then was a different story. I tried acting straight to avoid conflict. For the most part, I only had two friends that really knew I was gay, Sarah and Mary. They were the only people on the planet that knew. It wasn't until I met this man in a bar one night that my life would change, and not for the better. It was around the mid to late 1980 when I met this man. I don't remember the exact year, but this man was captivating. He was beautiful, and he made me feel okay about being gay. I remember the first time I saw him, he came up to me and asked how I was doing. He did it with such a warm smile, I was instantly captivated. We began a very pleasant conversation. And then he asked me out of the blue, "Do you find men sexually attractive?" No one has ever been that open. I was so hesitant, I said no right away. He smiled at me and said it's okay. That he was gay and there was nothing wrong with this. I couldn't believe it, a man with looks, brains and understanding of my situation. I think this is why people say love at first sight. I was hooked. He asked if I would get a drink with him tomorrow. I said yes. We met up, my nerves were so high and I thought to myself not to ruin it. We talked for hours. And when he was talking with me, he put his hand on my leg. I was so turned on. He asked if I would come home him. My mind said it was too soon, so I told him no. And he understood. He told me he had to go out of town and would I get a drink with him next week. That week was the longest week of my life. I couldn't get this man out of my head. We met up at a club called 219 when he got back. He was so charming, telling me about his trip. I began to drink more and more, and at some point I felt like I had been drugged. I was so drowsy. I could barely keep my eyes open. As this was going on, Mary showed up. I saw her and she came over. I told her I was going to go to sleep, and she was asking what was going on. I don't remember much after this, but I woke up in Mary's apartment. Mary told me about the man I was with. How aggressive he was. He wanted me to come home with him, and got almost physically violent with Mary because she wouldn't let him take me home. I didn't like this. It made me upset. I met up with him, Sarah and Mary, and he got very aggressive. Very angry. He wasn't the charming, nice man I knew. He wasn't the kind gentleman I had drinks with. His name was Jeffrey Dahmer. I found this out years after the fact. His face was on the news. He was known for drugging men, taking them home, raping them, and killing them. He killed 13 men. I was going to be one of them. This haunts me to this day. I worked in the Twin Towers on the day the planes flew into the towers. I had actually shown up early that day to start on my work. My boss came in early that day, which normally wasn't a good sign. The second I sat down, he asked if I could come into his office. I did. He told me my work ethic and personal skills were subpar, that there was no way for them to fix someone like me. He told me that they all thought I wasn't going to last as long as I did, and because of that he had to fire me. I was devastated. We didn't speak much. That was one of our longest interactions. On my way out, I heard him say something about how great my ass looked. I didn't hear exactly, but it was deviating. I left, and about 2 hours after the planes hit, everyone in that building died. The hardest thing is that I am a good person. I told his loved ones he was a great man and an amazing boss. I didn't want his children to have their last thoughts of their dad be that he is a chauvinist prick. I don't know if this is the creepiest Reddit story, as there are a lot of ghost stories here, but I dodged death that day, and I got my smile back. I am 22 and this incident happened a year and a half ago. I had just moved into my first apartment and was in the process of moving in. The door that led into my apartment locks itself automatically when closed. So, I was going to the entrance of the apartment complex to get my mail while talking on the phone with my boyfriend. I returned to my apartment and sat on the bed while opening the mail while using the phone. I dropped the phone on the floor, and it landed under the bed, so I had to lie on the floor and stretch for it. I saw something that caught my eye. There was someone under my bed. My eyes widened and I choked the urge to scream. The person under my bed was lying still with his back towards me and his head to his chest, so I couldn't see his face. And he didn't see me. Trying to be rational while so many thoughts rushed through my head, I picked up the phone, said, "Sorry, I dropped my phone. I'm just gonna take a shower and call you back." The bathroom is right by my bed, so I hastily walked in, quietly locked the door, turned the shower on, jumped out my window. My apartment is on the first floor, and called the police. They told me to wait nearby, but to go across the street and see if anyone comes out the door to the apartment complex. This was during summer and it was still light out. I placed myself across the street, hiding behind a car while watching my open bathroom window and the entry door. I called my boyfriend and he came to me just before the police. I gave them my keys and they went inside. Only moments later 2 cops came out holding a thin and tired-looking man. His eyes looked crazy, but he didn't try to get away. The policeman that had stood beside me and comforted me while the police searched through my house, I was a mess, shivering and crying, told me that the man stood outside my bathroom door with one of my kitchen knives, waiting for me to come out. This man had somehow crept in my entry door while I was getting my mail and hid under the bed. The man that was trying to hurt me turned out to be a homeless person and was placed in a mental hospital. My boyfriend moved in with me the very next day. Thanks for reading. I just wanted to share my story so that others might know what to do if a situation like this occurs. The police told me that what I did was truly amazing and rational. If I had screamed, this could have ended really badly for me. Edit. Thank you all for your kind words. I never expected this kind of response.